In this video, guys, I'm going to take this rough plate that's exposed beyond this door, where they set this door on top of a bottom plate, a pressure treated bottom plate at that, where they could have set this door down on top of the subfloor, where this floating floor is also sitting on top of. That would have allowed this floor to transition into this opening for the door and meet this threshold proper. But in this case, well, the door's done, the house is moved into, and this door is sitting on top of this plate where they cannot lower this door down. It's ridiculous to try it at this point in time. So I'm going to remove this extra filler here, and I'm going to make a transition piece that'll go from this floor up to the edge of this door here to help conceal this plate. And it's going to take some cutting on this plate as well, but this plate, this part is serving no purpose whatsoever. And I'm just going to chop it down to where it helps make that transition on that slope. So that's what this video is about. Stay tuned. I'll show you how it's done. Now see, this is as I hoped, that this floor is meeting this, and this is just covering for whatever the general contractor was planning on doing with it. I have no idea, but now I can get my transition strip to come up there and meet this metal here and come down and hopefully die in behind this base, so it makes a nice clean line from the base across the way with a piece of floor, so it looks like the floor just ramps up slightly to cover this piece. But that means I'll have to chop this out some, but it won't cause any harm because the door's not sitting on the part that I'm chopping out. It's also going to still maintain its integrity all the way down to the footprint in case there's some waterproofing down there at the floor, at the subfloor level, in other words, the concrete floor. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to pull out some nails so it won't damage my chisel. Get rid of these because all these nails in this will scratch up this floor terrible should it get in the wrong spot. One of the first things that I'm going to do, I'm going to chisel out a small spot and see what kind of an example I need to make this meet here and there, and what kind of tangents I'm actually working with. So I could just go ahead and blindly cut out a whole bunch, and I might be cutting out more than what I really need. So I'm going to make that example and find out what I really do need to cut down. But I'm just going to start with a small spot to make that example. All right, I think I have enough room here to do what I need to do to make that sample. So if I take a piece that's about maybe 3 1/4, maybe 3 1/2, and cut it about a 30-degree angle, that'll get what I need for that sample there. I'm just saying 30, it might be 25 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and make that sample. Now I'm guessing that to be a 25-degree angle. So I'm going to set my saw at 25 degrees, and that's what this little scrap piece is going to be all about. I'm going to rip it down to 3 1/2 inches wide, and I'm going to do what I can to save this finished edge so I can leave that at the surface of where it meets the floor. So that way I have a little bit of a corner there instead of this feather edge that's very weak, and even though it's oak, even oak likes to split when it gets thin enough. Okay, that's good for my first attempt. And I'm not even going to worry about the direction of grain. I just want to get that cuts right first. All right, since this is a 25-degree cut and the complementary angle is more than what my saw will throw, I'm going to have to get my saw to where this is going to cut the width that I need while the saw is while I'm doing the vertical cut like this. So that way I can just leave my saw at 25 degrees and get that to pass through. But it means I start with a 3 1/2 inch wide piece to start with, so that my saw can cut down to 0 when the blade finishes its cut through the bottom here, because the blade's going through this way. I'm going to bring the fence on over here to practically touch this blade at the bottom of the fence. Okay, it's touching now, so I'm going to back it off just a little. And it'll probably still hit when you hear me fire it up. But the trick is that, you see that slot that's left over here and there? When this piece is too short, it's going to drop down in there and do some really bad things if you're not careful. I'm going to be careful. So I want to make sure that when this is cut, that this is well supported across the top of the fence, because I'm going to give this thing the Vulcan death grip as I'm going across the way when I'm finishing off the cut, because you can see the piece of material is supported on this side. But when I get on the other side, that's where the problem's going to happen, where it drops down in there. When I have a longer piece, that won't be the issue. But I don't want to sacrifice a longer piece just for a test cut. That's what I have. That should be a good 90-degree angle right there to meet the floor here and the back of the door there. Let's see what we got. Golly, even though it's too long to fit in my test cut, that's spot on, right there and right there. I'm going to take the base and I'm going to return this around the corner too, so that's going to fix this problem down here. But that's a nice start. I like that. I'm going to cut this off and make a test on the other end and see how this meets everything on the other side. But a 22-degree angle is a very nice number indeed. But I can't see the cut, so that's why I'm going to cut this length so I can see how everything plays down here. All right, so with that, I could actually make this about a 20-degree cut. But 3.5 is a good number, stopping behind there. If I increase the angle on that, that would be good. So I'm going to see what it looks like on the other end. This has got nails in it. Ah, bummer. I see a nail right there. I'm going to come back here and get around it. Go back and pull the shank out because it's a nail that's cut off. There it is, showing itself right there. Nothing like hitting a nail at the beginning of your cut to dull your chisel so it makes everything else go slower. Feels like it's driven from the back side. So I'm pulling the head through. That's a bite. And I got like 3 of them right here. Like I said, that's the head end that's in there, so that's a bit of a pull. But it's out of the way now. So that 3.5 fits in behind there, so actually it's doing pretty good for the same size. All right, but I just got to chop that down a little bit more. And look at that. It's going to be very nice. Very nice. Good. That's my working size right there. And that piece of base, I'm going to take this off and turn the corner with that before this piece goes in, so I can just simply bump it like that. All right, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to chop all this out, and I'll cut these nails off after I chop out around them and use a metal cutting blade or my oscillating saw. That way I don't have to worry about sparks and stuff, but get these nails out of the way after I chop around them. Past the nails. Now I got some nice long straight grain in here that should pop out in large chunks now. I should be able to get about 8-inch pieces out. That side's perfect right there. So now I'm going to cut the other side and get that angle right, and then I'll cut them to length. And cut you off a little bit more. A little bit more. Because you're really a tight fit. I got all the nail holes filled up. The pieces in there fit perfectly from end to end down here. I'll give you a little overview on everything, but it went well. I got a good bed of glue underneath of it holding it all down. And here's a little close-up of what I've done. I redid the base because the prior carpenters had done a square joint, a butt joint, which is terrible. But I went ahead and redid that whole corner so I can get this piece in first to get this to butt into that rather than me cutting to that. It's a lot cleaner joint that way. The run was over 7 foot. The floor was 7 foot. And I didn't want to put a 7-inch piece in there, and I also put the joint down here where the operable glass is right here, so you're not looking at that joint. All the holes are filled in with the right color putty all the way through. There's also a good bed of glue up underneath of it as well. And here's your end down here where it meets that base there. So that's got everything done, folks. I like these little one-off things that I do every once in a while. Doing. Hopefully you learn something from it, what you can do in case you have a situation like this. That piece of structural material, that piece of plate, it was non-structural part that I cut out because the bearing wall is over there and the bearing wall is over there. The door is supported by a header, so all of this is non-structural, although it's supporting the door. So therefore I couldn't take it out, but I could certainly cut the stuff out behind the door to get the room that I needed to make this simple fix right here. So anyway, guys, hey, till later, this is Jack with House Masters Carpentry. We'll catch you guys later. God bless. Bye-bye.